Heads up, 20 ups, it's Wednesday. And they said it was supposed to rain all day, but it's not. It's sunny and nice, and I'm gonna go play later. But I'm doing this first, my vlog of the day. Alright, so I'm gonna start by saying about the cookies, guys. I didn't explain last week, but I had my gallbladder removed on Thursday, and I was binging on something that I actually can't have for another couple days at least. They told me to give it at least a week before I start trying to have things like that again, and that's why I had cookies. And if I had the money to send everyone cookies, I would. And I bought them in a store, so everyone trying to go out and make their own. Lucy, if you were going to name your daughter Chakotay if she was a boy, I think that is the most awesome thing ever. Because I love Star Trek Voyager. Currently, I'm re-obsessed with the series. And my favorite character is actually Captain Janeway, because that is one bamf. On that note, I'm not sure if you said it in a video, but I don't remember your daughter's name. And I'm bad with names, so that could just be me. Terry Pratchett, you are not alone. As others have said, I've never been grabbed by any of their work. I have this thing where if I can't get into a series, I can't get into a series. If I can't, or a book, it's not just series, it's just books in general. If I can't get into it, I can't read it. Now, I have in the past been able to wait a while and come back, like a couple years, and been able to read something. Like Sense and Sensibility, we were given it on a reading list book when I was a freshman, and I didn't read it until after I graduated. And I tried. I really tried. And now I love it. But, you know, I also tried reading The Hitchhiker's Guide years and years ago when I was in middle school, and a couple friends were reading it, and I couldn't do it. And the reason I bought the omnibus is because I started reading it, and I got sucked in. So, you know, that happens to some people. They can't, it's not entirely the author's fault, you know, because so many people can read their writing and everything. It's just, it's not time for you to read it yet. That's my, you know, view. If you can't get into it, it's not time for you to. So, and ooh, kitty! Kitty! Alright, moving along. Craig, you know, the fact that you can't find stuff, it happens. And I know how it is. Every time I have ever moved, I've lost something, somehow, in the move. I don't know how, but I've lost something. It's a kind of a funny story. I know we mentioned on the vlog thing, and I said I watched it because it was actually the first DVD I got from Netflix. And as I was watching it, I noticed it said based on a book by, and I'm like, okay. So I kept that in my head. So when the film was over, if I enjoyed the film, I would try and find the book. And I do that sometimes. Sometimes I don't get to it. Sometimes I just don't find the book. But if I like a film based on a book, I usually try to get it and read it, or at least try to read it, you know. James, you seem like a really awesome guy, and I'm glad you joined. You did a really good video in catching up to all of us. That was really very good. I want to start by saying I think you're right. about the being a Slytherin liking villains thing. I think, I can identify with them better because of those qualities in myself. So, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. And I know I've been told by some, well, are you sure you're a Slytherin? Well, yeah, I am. Just because it doesn't seem like it, don't mean it. But my view on the Hogwarts houses and um, attributing them to people, I can talk about that another time. Actually, that's going to be my video today. I'll leave a link. I wish I'd been trained singing, but my parents couldn't afford the lessons. But they could afford to get me a flute, and that helped me in keeping on key with my singing. Because it was at school, learning how to play the flute. And I've said before, I need to relearn how to read notes, but I also want to learn where the notes are on the piano, since the way the music is written, it's exactly the same for the flute and the piano until the notes go really, really high for the flute, and there's no notes, I believe, for those on a piano. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. Danielle, you would know. But from what I remember, flute and piano, basically the same. And just yesterday I found out there's a local shop that holds lessons for various instruments. And I found out how much it would be to get some, and I'm really, really considering doing that. So, not that I don't want you to help, Danielle. I'm just thinking one-on-one training I do much better with, personally. That's just, my brain is weird. It likes that better. And anything you would teach would be great, but I'm probably going to need at least a month of lessons. James, you have made me realize that I'm not sure I remember what everyone's age is, and it could just be me and my inability to remember little things like that. Because, yeah, I do that. So, you're 26, I'm 24, and the only one whose age I actually do know for certain is Craig, and he's 20. Otherwise, I'm not certain on anyone's. Thanks for sharing that thing about you being depressed and everything, and manic depression. I'm bipolar, so manic depression is actually a major symptom. And I have been personally since I was 7 years old and almost died from an E. coli infection. It started out with the why did I live? Why couldn't I have just keeled over? What have you? And I've been battling it since. And it is an ongoing battle. And I'm glad that we are in a generation where we understand that you can cope with your depression. You don't have to hide it. You don't have to pretend it's not there. I'm just sad to see that so many people don't get the help and still commit suicide. And I noticed, TJ, that you and Craig are very big on that kind of organization who advocates getting help for the suicidal. Those kind of videos you were talking about, like thoughts from places and stuff, I still want to do myself, but again, I only have a built-in camera on the Mac. But, I'm saving up for camera. I want a nice, good, quality one. It doesn't have to be HD. I'm not picky about that. If it is, it is. it is what it is kind of thing, but whatever. Jins. You donating your hair for a cancer patient was awesome. Up here, it's called Locks for Love, and I did it 2 years ago, and I know my hair's grown out quite a bit since then, but I actually had it shaved completely off, and it came down to like here. So I just, well, yeah. And I loved it. It got me to do two things I wanted to do. I wanted to donate my hair anyway, and I also wanted to know what it was like to have my head shaved. And it was summer, and it was hot, so having my head shaved wasn't a big deal. I did get some funny looks for a couple of months, though, but I didn't care. So I think that is awesome, and yay! And I do hope you get better. I was just recently sick. I think, it's never fun. And my only suggestion is to drink lots of fluids. Lots of fluids, very good for you. I'm not going to try and say your given name, Jins, because I sometimes suck when it comes to other languages and pronunciating things properly. And, but it does suit you. It is a beautiful name. I would hate to say it wrong. And I like Jins. That also suits you. But yeah, I don't like saying things wrong. Your comment about books that are made into films, and you not wanting to, or you being skeptical, or you being, what's the word, hesitant about watching that film based upon that book once finding out about it. So you just take those films based on books, as the saying goes, with a grain of salt. Another hand raised, Danielle, to your opinion on HP, on Harry Potter. But I would like to hear your opinion solely to hear an opinion on something I love. Something I'm interested in. I like hearing people's opinions to the things that interest me. Talking about school spirit. Now, I had school spirit, but my school spirit was more in being supportive of my friends who were into sports and competitions. I've never been good at sports and competitions. So in that way, I was never, I never really got into it. I've never been interested in sports in general. I mean, I can sit and watch a game, but I'm really not that interested, and that's just me, and that's fine. That's how things are. But I tried to be spirited for my friends because they were into those things, and that was as spirited as I got. Fandom-wise, I geek out very much. And here's my question, and this is a very important one because I'm hoping everyone can answer. I want to know, what were some of your favorite television shows as a kid? And I bring this up because I have to wonder how many of you remember shows from your childhood and what shows you remember. And I won't give my answer to my own question till next week because I don't want to have anyone compare. I want to see what you guys come up with. But there are ways to search on the internet if you don't remember what they were called. Searching by years is always good, and I suggest everyone do that. Do a little research and try and find those shows you remember as a kid that you loved. And I will see everyone in the next week. DFTBA.